This podcast has been brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at seekersguidance.org/donate. For as little as $10 a month, you can help people find life-changing guidance.
So today's topic, the properties of sharing food, the proprieties or the etiquettes of sharing food. There are basically two different sections that we're going to take up today, and then we'll look at the questions at the end. So why don't we list first of all all of the etiquettes, and then we'll go back through them and kind of speak a little bit about them, right? So if we get that up, so Imam Ghazali mentions, first of all, number one, the first etiquette is knowing who should start, and should you start before someone else, or who should be the one to start eating. Number two is having pleasant conversation. Number three is preferring others to eat more than oneself. Number four is having good manners privately first, so that you don't have to pretend to have good manners in public. Number five is washing hands in a bowl. That is permissible to do. Number six is not staring while people are eating, not like looking at them and gazing at them while they're actually chewing their food. And number seven, not doing anything that disgusts other people. These are the 7 etiquettes of sharing food. Now let's go back over them. The first one is that, many times you're in a gathering and the food has been laid out, and now, you're not sure who should begin. And so everyone's like, no one's eating. You, and you're not sure who should begin. The other thing is, sometimes what happens is, if you're in a place where, it's not either, it's not on a strict adab level, the gathering is not about that. Like, you're just with a bunch of, with the gang, with the crew, or, you and your family, and you're just, you get a pizza and people are just digging in. That's different. It's something more relaxed. But what happens when you're in a gathering and you have a guest, or you're sitting with others? They say that people should not begin eating until the one who deserves to begin, they're the one who should begin eating first. And in Islamic culture, usually that was the eldest person. If there's someone who's clearly older than everyone else, you say Bismillah, tfaddal. Tfaddal means please, begin. Or if the person has a clear marked virtue above you all. So it could be that there is a big scholar, in your presence, and everyone else is like a student, or just out of respect. So you tell the sheikh who's in the gathering, Bismillah, please begin. And sometimes then they may say no. They may demur and say no. The oldest person, please, you go ahead. And then there's like a little thing back and forth. But the point is this, that it shouldn't be that everyone is just greedy to jump into the food, right? And you've started eating, and now maybe someone who's elder, coming back from washing their hands, So part of this is just making people feel good, and understanding that it's also teaching children as well. Sometimes, the food is being prepared, and, the kids are getting unruly, and, oh, come on, and, oh, Bismillah, let them eat. No, it's you teach them an adab, that wait till the older people begin, and then we'll take out something for you, and you'll start to eat. Now, what if the host themselves is the one who is followed by other people? Like, they're the person that then the host should just begin eating, because everyone will be shy to eat, and no one will want to do it. So you're kind of like, you're holding everyone back. And that's the other thing. It's not good to obviously needlessly hold back the guests when the food is there. So you begin with Bismillah, and you go ahead. The other thing is that the next point was about having pleasant conversation. There's a misconception that some people had, and the Prophet ﷺ had actually clarified this, right from the beginning, when he told us that do not remain silent over eating food, to the near meaning that do not remain silent, because this is a habit of some of the people of the book, that when they ate, they didn't believe in talking. And you see this as well. I've heard this from a Muslim as well, that no, you shouldn't eat, you shouldn't speak, you should just be eating, everyone just eating quietly, and that's it. This is a misconception as well. Now, some of the reasons why people might do that is when they're so hungry that they're just like, I don't want to talk about anything right now. I'm going to eat this meal. I don't want to hear anything. this is not from the etiquette of deen. Or if they feel like it's disrespect to the food to speak. And it's interesting because Islam does not say that. So they're making something up that is not from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Rather, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ was, to start speaking about good things, pleasant things. As they say in the West, there's two things that you don't discuss on the table, religion and politics, right? It depends which crowd you're in. But the point is that you speak about things that lighten up the mood and the atmosphere and allow people to feel easy, because eating is a time of it's a break. Like, what do? You take a break for lunch. You take a break to eat. You're tired from work, from school. You come home and have dinner. It's a time to unwind. It's a time to ask people. And so even as a family, right, many times there's a kind of like the traditional trope. Father comes in, very quiet. Grandmother, mother, all looking at him. What is he going to say? He eats quietly. No, you ask, how was your day today? What did you do in school today? Hey, what about this? And it's not a time. It's not a time to be bringing up difficult topics. It may be the time that you have to spend with your family, but do not make mealtime a time to discuss controversial or difficult topics or debate with one another. You can always say, we'll talk about that later. Let's wait till after dinner. We'll talk about that later. The other thing that Imam Ghazali mentions is it is very good to speak about anecdotes of the righteous and how they used to eat, and stories of the awliya and good things. Why? Because that makes you feel uplifted. And as your food is nourishing your body, then the stories that you're hearing about, that's nourishing your heart. And so the third thing is, and the other thing is that when you speak about things that bring tension, you don't want to be in a state where you're eating and you're feeling tense. You can get, it's not good for your own, just your emotional well-being. You want an easy time digesting everything. You want to make a mealtime a time of recharging. The third thing is that a person should be kind when they're sharing food. It sounds like an obvious thing, but many times we think about ourselves, right? So even if you're sharing the food, just because it's your food doesn't mean, for example, that you get the best piece of steak. And this is where this is kind of obvious. Many of the things that we're going to say are things that people from Muslim cultures would be like, of course, But as you'll see, there are a lot of things in our Western society where, our modern kind of Western society, where we've stopped observing some of these things. So we're supposed to be kind to the one we're sharing food with, and we don't try to out-eat other people. We don't eat more than they do. So even the host, for them to eat more than the guest, unless the guest is on some sort of special diet and they say, go ahead, just take it, it's fine. So you should always try to make the other person have more food than you do. And also giving that guest or giving the other person a preference over themselves. If there's only one kebab left, offer it to the other person. Teach our children as well. If there are limited pieces of food, that listen, people are going to come. This dish is limited. Don't at the end, when you're in front of the guests, say, with the limited one, like, mommy, I want the, sirloin steak, and there's only one left, and everyone's looking around and say, oh, just give it to the kid, because that's what the guests are going to do. So in that same way, we should train ourselves and our children to always looking at the plates of other people. One thing I noticed about Eastern cultures, when I lived in Jordan, for example, is that the host often didn't eat at all, because they're like watching like a hawk at everyone's plate. It's amazing, because we actually, when we have people over, we tend to relax and stop thinking about other people. Or, in our cultures, unfortunately, other people from the family are serving and the man of the house just has to do nothing, and just eat. And this is not the prophetic way, that we should be doing. Rather, the host is one person who's always looking at other people's plates and saying, oh, take some more of this. Oh, you need to, here, let me pour some of that. Rather than saying, than taking for themselves. But at the same time, it is wrong. While you should be serving your companions and saying, here, take Bismillah, and oh, you done with this? Here, let me get you some more of that. You should also be cognizant also if the guests are sometimes shy. So guests are shy either because they're actually shy or because the culture teaches them you have to pretend to be shy, right? So if that's the way it is, you should also be opening up the situation. Hey, just take Bismillah, go ahead. And if you feel that this is some person that's not going to take their share, then by you helping the person do that, they can get over that sense of cultural shyness. I don't know if I can actually go take another kebab because, I'll look greedy. So then you say, no, Bismillah, here, take it. So the other thing is that it's not good. In some cultures, you have this thing about piling so much food on the person's plate. It's like almost like an act of pride. And so what ends up happening is you're trying to show that you've got a lot of food. And we can give so much food that we can waste it. Now, this is very wrong. And yes, we should only take the amount of food that we are going to eat. So another thing you see often is, you go to a wedding and it's the buffet. Okay? It's the buffet. Everyone's lining up to get their food. And you take, everyone's coming back with plates that are literally like there's like a mound, as if they're never going to see food again, And this is wrong. This is wrong because when you look around at the plates, I'm talking about Muslim weddings. I'm not speaking about people who don't have an idea about this. When you're looking around at the plates after everyone's, gone to say their prayers or, they're gone to, do whatever. You look around at the plates, there's food left over, food. You took so much naan that it's just sitting down doing nothing. You tried to, so this is not right. This is absolutely not right. You should only take what you can. However, because people are Islamically shy, you as a host, you should be giving. Now, should you be giving so much that they're wasting food or that you're causing them to feel sinful? So many people feel very bad, right, when you give them too much food and then they can't finish it. So as the host, you have to be thinking, I'll offer you, right? They'll say no. I'll offer, take Bismillah. Once they say no, that's it. In fact, they say in, I believe it's in Shari'at al-Islam, the text on adab from the Ottoman period. You asked 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, okay. After that, you believe the person. The person doesn't want food, they don't want food. I actually once saw, subhanAllah, one young scholar we were sitting with, and I forget who was serving them. Was it me or somebody else now? It was many years ago. And they were offered, please take, no, take, no, take. And then the person got upset and said, oh, all right, listen, you want to put it there? You can put it there, but I'm not eating it, okay? You want to waste it? Then you go ahead. And now don't let a person, especially a religiously conscious person who's like, no, if my plate has yogurt and rice mixed in it and you put more on it, are you going to eat that after me when I go home? Chances are you're not going to do that. I mean, if you're, there are pious people who do that. But chances are you'll say, no. So then don't also make that person put yourself in sin and make the other person feel like they're upset. And the other thing is that you swearing oaths on a person to eat food. What does that mean? This is something that is wrong and should not be done. It's actually prohibited. Billahi alayk, wallahi satakul. By Allah, you will eat. Allah ki qasam, you're going to have this. I mean, it's gone to the point in some cultures where I've even heard people they say that they will divorce their wife if their wife is divorced 3 times if you don't eat this. And they're thinking that's somehow like a sign of like, haha, look, I made you eat. People should feel comfortable enough around you that they take what they want. If people are being shy on purpose and stuff like that, then you leave them and let them not eat. And then next time they'll just, they'll realize they're not going to get as much food. But saying things like, no, you must eat. Wallahi, you must, you have to. This is made for you. Don't do that. We talked about in the Shama'il class, the Prophet ﷺ would never find an aib in food. If he didn't like something, he would just leave it. So what happens is in our time, many times, we have many different dishes of food. It wasn't like that in the past. In the past, it was like one pot, one big plate, and everybody just eats one food. Now we've got the salad, we've got the yogurt, we've got the rice, we've got the different types of meat and stuff like that. Now what happens is, there's also the one vegetable that they just always make as an extra, and then the people don't always eat it. You know what I'm talking about. Like it happens often. Like all right, and you're like telling the guys are not going to eat that. It's okay, just make it okay. Now what you don't do is you don't say you're not going to take the cabbage, you're not going to eat the eggplant, and like make a person feel guilty about doing that, and then you make them say, oh no, and then you make them tell you what allergy they have, what lactose intolerance, or whatever it is. Don't make them in front of everybody else. have to give you a medical condition or excuse, or just say I don't really like it, right? So it's there in front of others. Okay. So and the fourth thing is and actually Imam Hassan radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu is narrated to have said food is too insignificant for one to make an oath for others to eat it. Meaning food is obviously a high thing. It's a means of worshiping Allah. But when you get into the culture of the wallahi billahi alayk culture, it becomes like you're swearing for everything now. And actually what that's doing is that it's not that food is insignificant, it's that you're making your oath insignificant. Meaning the matter of eating food is not something to bring down your level of an oath to. Because the person who makes a lot of oaths, they're also liable to break their oaths. A person who almost never makes an oath, that person will not ever break their oath. Very rarely. And subhanAllah. So the fourth thing is that a person should have accustomed themselves to keeping good manners when they're in privacy for themselves. So you don't have to pretend when you're in good company, right? And just compare this to children, right? What do you tell, some talk about small children. Guests are coming, okay? You have to be on your best behavior, okay? Have good manners. Now, if you had just taught your child the proper etiquette of eating with their own parents, there would be absolutely no reason for the child to pretend. But Imam Ghazali is not speaking about children. He's speaking about adults. He's saying for us, implement the sunnah in our lives. Practice the adab with your own wife and your own children. Because when you prefer your children, and I have to say this to myself too, many times parents give each other like the lion's share, and it often gets slanted in the direction of the husband. It doesn't have to be like that. May Allah make us chivalrous in our families first. Me first, and in our families, to our families first. And if we behave like that just in general, that's prophetic behavior. And then you don't have to pretend or put on a cultural act when you come in front of your guests. And this is what Imam Ghazali is actually saying. Don't fake it in front of all the guests. Just be like that with the people of your house, and you will behave in the perfect adab when other people are there. Bismillah. Some cultures are the kings of this, subhanAllah. Some cultures are absolutely amazing when it comes to this. And in our cultures, we need to learn a bit more. Sometimes the Western, modern society. And it's not that there aren't these etiquettes in this society as well. It's that modernity, fast food, lack of the decrease of social norms and etiquettes has actually done what's caused this. Otherwise, there are a lot of very good formalities in Western manners of eating as well. The other thing is washing your hands in a bowl is perfectly fine. Imam Ghazali is clarifying that. It's not like it's so for example, when we were in Yemen, people would actually come around with a bowl of water and a long spout, kind of like a jug with a long spout, it wasn't that. Yeah, sometimes they would come with that, and they would go around and wash your hands for you before you eat, and even after you eat, you just go like this. Other times, what they would do is, what in some cultures, what they have is a bowl of warm water, and there's like a lemon cut up inside it, and so you just go like this, and you kind of like rub your hands inside it, and you do it that way. So it's fine to do. It's not like it's luxurious. And if you do that, guests feel nice, when somebody goes around and washes their hands. I guess nowadays the equivalent is like you have like a little towelette, like a warm towelette or something like that. But the point is, what's the point of this? It's not an excessive formality, but it gives people the convenience to be able to, sometimes you feel shy. You want to wash your hands, especially in our time now, pandemic time, whatever, the importance of washing our hands is very, very, it's something that should be observed. But you feel shy because the bathroom is in the inside part of the house. And that's where, his wife and his daughters are there. You don't want to bother. So in this way, you actually relieve people from having to get up or something like that. Or let's say the person is elderly. The sixth etiquette is that when people are eating and you're talking, most of your time, you should be lowering your gaze. Look at your food, eating, looking up, smiling, laughing, speaking, and then averting your gaze. If one person is just staring at you like this the entire time, and you're trying to put food in your mouth, and they're watching like how your teeth look while you're chewing your food, and it makes people uncomfortable. So you should not, it's bad adab to stare at people while they're eating food. You should not actually watch them. In fact, subhanAllah, like they say that you shouldn't even be watching, when they're about to put the bite in their mouth, people would avert their gaze. Not obviously clearly like this or something like that, but just like, make it easy. So the reason is because what happens is some people, when they're stared at, when they're eating food, it makes them conscious. Is he looking at me because, am I eating too much? Do I have something in my teeth? Am I, and then is the food not enough? Does he want me to go? Is he trying to get me to hurry? So the guest immediately feels a little cautious. Like, why is this guy staring at me? And I don't feel comfortable eating. And because it assumes, all of these etiquettes assume that the Muslim is a person with haya, with modesty. Right? He or she is concerned with how other people feel. That's modesty, right? So when you're stared at, all of a sudden doesn't like the attention on themselves, and then they stop eating, and that's something that's not good because you're making a person stop eating. What happens now if the host, they also, like, what happens if the host finishes, right? If the host finishes, the host should eat at a good pace with the guests, because when the host stops eating and like, oh, okay, I'm done, alhamdulillah, what do you think the guests are supposed to say? If the host gives out alhamdulillah, maybe lets out a little burp or something like that, starts like using a toothpick, or already starts to call for his post-meal things. It's kind of like saying you're moving it along. Rather, the host should be the one who presents no barriers to people enjoying and eating the food. Rather, he should, as Imam Ghazali is saying, reach even if they finish the food. Like, obviously, you eat slowly, but even if you finished eating, still reach for the bite slowly and just work on one for like a long time. Just kind of even pretend if you have to, If your guests do not want to take seconds, the best way to get them to take seconds, if they're shy, is for you to take seconds as a host. But obviously not first. But you say, yeah, we'll all go for another round. But what happens is when the host is a very abstemious person, I don't eat much, you're basically going to force other people to do that too. So the host should eat at a good pace with everyone else. And the last of the proprieties is that you don't do anything that disgusts other people. So we mentioned before that you don't say anything that offends them, but here you don't do anything that disgusts them. So for example, and we have to look out for this. Sometimes, if you're eating, in some cultures, you eat rice in a big dish, like you eat mensaf or like, I don't know if they do that with biryani. Maybe they do. You can tell me. Yeah. You eat mensaf, or in some Afghan cultures as well, you have that as well. Now, if a person has their hand in the food, right, and they have rice on their hand, you don't go like this. You've seen people doing that, like this, and you're like sprinkling the rice back into the plate. And like one goes like this and, like flies into a person's, clothing, or you're going like this and it's going here and there. And they're like, oh man, it went on my side. So immediately it makes people feel disgusted. The other thing you don't do, you don't lean forward. If you're all in a plate, you're leaning forward so much that whatever drops on from your, onto your beard, it drops into the common plate. Even if it's on your side, it just makes a person feel grossed out. So what do? You take food and you yourself go like this. You go back to your spot and you go like this if you're worried about it, falling. SubhanAllah, one of the things, even when you grow a beard, like one of the things I still have to practice myself. When you're eating very like soupy foods, very wet foods, there's a tendency of a man with a beard that it can fall on one's beard. And then something that is a beautiful sunnah begins to be something that other people are not, it doesn't look nice. So, I once saw, one of the scholars that I love, every time he eats, he would just, by reflex, he'd go like this and eat. Like this and eat. And I'd be like, even by themselves, I'm just thinking to myself, like, it's just like, it's always like a reflex. But by doing this, you're really saying that this beard is something that is, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. You honor it. You're neat in your clothing. You're neat in your appearance. It's something that is very important. It's not something where Roll up your sleeves if you need to, eat in such a way that other people feel comfortable. And, the other thing is that dawah is very affected by how we eat. Many times the Muslims have beautiful hospitality in terms of how they treat someone. But there are many non-Muslims who actually get uncomfortable by the way Muslims eat, whereas it's opposite. We are the ones who are taught. Like, we're the only religion in the world that has, either, as far as I know, whose leader or prophet taught them exactly the etiquette of eating. And yet, because I think we traditionalize our eating rather than look at it from the sunnah, we actually have habits that gross people out when we're eating, right? So this is because we stray from the sunnah. Now, there's not, for example, when it comes to licking the fingers, right? You've got your hand into the raita and the biryani and the mansaf and the whatever. Now, first of all, you're not supposed to be making your entire hand, wet. I've even seen people licking like this. I'm like, okay, that wasn't. I won't say anymore. But this is, if you need to lick your finger, the sunnah is you lick your 3 fingers, the digits of your fingers, in a very tasteful, like not literally, no pun intended, but in a very almost a fashionable way. Why? Because when you do that, first of all, you make the sunnah look like something magnificent. And when you talk about the blessings, that we don't know where the blessing in the food lies. Is it in the plate? Is it on your fingers? But when you do this in a polished way, a person says, wow, like, where do you get that? Where are you getting that? And you're not going, and your hand is all like wet and shiny, and immediately it makes people feel like, oh, gross. Like, don't hand me and then, if you're sharing a glass, the glass is all like, greased up. There are etiquettes on how to do that, right? Even if it doesn't mean you have to drink with your left hand, it means you always keep some of your fingers, clean. This is why if you eat with these fingers, you drink like this. You go bismillah. You can do it like that, or in some way, for example, where you don't have to use your left hand if you want to observe because it is etiquette to eat with the right hand. It's not fard to do that, but it is an etiquette, and from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So the other thing is that you don't talk about things that remind people of filthy matters. Okay, this is kind of obvious, but you're eating and then you're bringing up like a bathroom issue. You're eating and you're talking about like when a person chucked up their food or something. It's like the person just doesn't want to hear that when they're eating. And the other thing is that you don't know what the sensitivities of that person are. So it could be that they don't like hearing about blood, violence, whatever it is. Think about what could be offensive or a turnoff or disgusting, and then avoid speaking about those things, because any type of najasa or filth, it's not appropriate to be speaking about. Somebody might ask, subhanAllah, this is Ihya Ulumuddin, and in all of these etiquettes and adab, it seems more like a class on table manners. And I came to learn about spirituality. I came to learn about, come on, give me something to really hit the heights of ma'rifah with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or something like that. Why is Imam Ghazali speaking about this? Why is that after the ruba' al-ibadat, the quarter of worship, he speaks about the quarter of worldly actions? Because these things are intimately tied together. Because at the end of the day, all of the means by which we survive in this world, by which we carry out our lives, they are means for us to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should not think that I'm great in the masjid, but when it comes to hosting people, I suck. It's not like, well, I'm still a good Muslim in the masjid. When it comes to hosting people, I'm just very stingy or whatever. Imam Ghazali is saying, no, even the way that you are looking at someone when they're eating or not looking, the way that you are speaking about, all of this is deen. And this is the whole point when we talk about Ihya Ulumuddin. It's that the Prophet ﷺ came to make the finest of matters, the most even seemingly mundane matters, sacred, by instilling a sense of excellence inside them. Right? Because what is ihsan? An ta'budallaha ka'annaka tarahu. You worship Allah as though you see Him. And so this worship now extends into as though you see Allah into all spheres of your life. And so it connects the ihsan of your eating to the ihsan of your hosting, to the ihsan of your worship to the ihsan of your duties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next section that Imam Ghazali speaks about are the proprieties of offering food to another person, but it talks about entering into people's homes, right? Because now, let's say you're doing things like, going into someone's house. And so Imam Ghazali speaks about two things here. Number one is not to visit specifically during meal times, and the other one is entering when there is known approval. So let's read what Imam Ghazali is saying. Imam Ghazali mentions the merits of offering food to one's brethren. Feeding food, the Prophet ﷺ, when he entered Medina, he told people, أفشوا السلام وأطعموا الطعام وصلوا بالليل والناس نيام تدخل الجنة بالسلام. He says, spread greetings of peace and share food with people, feed people food. And you go pray when everyone else is sleeping. You will enter Jannah with complete security and safety and peace. It's interesting because he did not say, when you first entered Medina, he didn't say, make sure everyone is doing X, Y, Z, then you do that, then make sure, then tell people to do this. He didn't say that. What do we do from our own selves? That's what wins people's hearts. How do we invite others to the deen? Right? Spreading salams. You're happy with people. You're cheerful with people. Not like Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. That's not what it is. It's meeting people with a good countenance. Because with a salam also always comes with a smile. How are you, brother? How are you, sister? You all right? Okay, alhamdulillah. How's your family doing? You okay? You need anything? Something starts from there. But it's that will to give salams to everybody and anyone. Not just people you know, but even strangers. And then there's the Prophet saying, and feed people food. That's how important it is in Islam. After you give them salams, the Prophet is saying, just give people food. Subhanallah. One of the things is, it was our tradition. Subhanallah, just before I say that, in Jordan, we used to have many foreign students come to visit because they were studying Arabic. Many non-Muslims, because I used to work in an Arabic school, so many non-Muslims would come. Alhamdulillah, over the years, many people became Muslim. Alhamdulillah. And, because they would come, but sometimes they wouldn't come to accept Islam. They're just learning Arabic for some career purpose or professional reason, or they're a diplomat or something else. And subhanallah, I tell you, if someone showed any interest in Islam and you invite them to your house and you speak about deen, first just feed the person. And I've noticed a big, big difference. You could talk about Islam and deen all you want from a mental level. Call someone in your house, give them the most comfortable place to sit down. Forget the time, hide the clock. And just feed a person a heavy meal with meat. Okay, honestly. This is like feed people. Why? What I mean is that something that they really desire. Something they feel, all right, this is like good. Red meat, okay? If they can heat it. And give the person a very good sweet after, like a high level sweet. I'm not just talking about, give them like a really good sweet. And subhanAllah, I found, like statistically speaking, people would take the shahada. What's that? It's a recipe. No, honestly, I was like, okay, if you make the right thing, it's not a recipe. You know what it is? It's not that. It's that, as they say, like the way to a man's heart is through the stomach. It's not that. It's that what I feel is that there's something in food when you make it with love for someone. You always notice when you go to pious people's houses who make salawat over the food. They make salawat, they blow on the food, and when you eat that food, it could be the most simple meal. Just rice and something else. But you just feel so mubarak, you feel so light, energized. You feel like you want to go worship Allah. You feel so happy for it. It doesn't have to be a complicated meal. But in a dawah situation, for example, feeding people, I found is very closely linked because food is one of our basic human needs. When you satisfy a person's basic human needs, you can speak about other things. When you have not satisfied or shown that you care about a person's basic needs, then at the end, it's just, then it's not, and you don't do it because you're just trying to convert somebody. No, you do it because you're following afshu salam wa at'im at-ta'am. This is the whole point. It's not to catch people, save people's soul. No, it's because you're doing something that's prophetic and you realize the barakah in the prophetic way. And this is why in the past, when people used to call each other over to eat, when it was very, very common, like all the time, bonds between society was very strong. You had, people were like this, because you would call people over, you're always going, always coming. And it was something that people worked into their monthly budget. It was something that people worked into their monthly budget. Like, okay, I make this much money every month. Well, this much we're going to spend on hosting. Like, that's it. Who are you going to call? What do you mean, who are you going to call? We're going to host people. So you don't even have to say, well, I have a special friend and I'm going to, no, they're like, we have to call somebody. They often talk about when one of the Sahabi was found crying in the masjid. Somebody came up to him and said, why are you crying? He said, it's been 3 days, I haven't had a guest in my house. Because they used to believe that when guest comes, barakah comes. The mercy of Allah is coming when people are coming. Because people make dua for you. When you go to eat at someone's house, you make dua for that person, right? So offering food is something that's so important. And just on another tangent that I want to say is that in the Indian subcontinent and at many other places, the people of spirituality who came, the great Chishti sheikhs and others who came, one of the hallmarks of their dawah to people was just to feed people food. Just to feed people food. They used to say, just colloquially, one of them used to say, like, feeding people food is like a sixth pillar of Islam. Obviously not literally. Where's your proof? It's not literally. But it's just saying that this should be something that, and this is why they didn't have to have pamphlets and videos and logical explanations about why you should become Muslim. They fed people food and they showed that they don't have any desire to hold back from people. Right? And people themselves started to see, and we used to have a tradition of langar, and there still is a tradition of public kitchen in some of those places in the subcontinent. But unfortunately, other religious traditions have taken that, our own tradition, and made it into something that they now do. And Muslims, do we do it as often? That's the question. We still do it, but do we do it as often or in such a big way? So it's something that's very, very mubarak. The Prophet ﷺ it's Ali ibn Abi Talib said, to gather my brothers around a measure of food is dearer to me than freeing a slave. What does this mean? It doesn't mean that, obviously there's a very, very high virtue in that. What they're saying is that food is something that is so vital to a person's life. There were people who were starving in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and they'd be living with you, and they wouldn't complain. You don't know what the financial situation of a person is when you call them. You might call them for a meal, and they may say, we didn't have anything to eat tonight. They may not tell you that. They may say, or did you know, maybe they were going through something. Maybe their family was sick. Maybe they had no food. And because you called them, Allah, many times, so many miracles come around food, if you really notice this. If you really pay attention, so many things, I wanted that, and it came to me. Or somebody needed food and you helped them, right? The Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu used to say, it is of the nobility of a person to make his provisions when traveling of high quality and then share it and offer it with his friends. Meaning when you're going on a trip, when you're traveling, it's actually considered noble to get good provisions for travel, get high quality snacks, right? And when you open that on other people, then you spread it. And I've noticed this. I've traveled with people, and I know that these people are not rich. They're not very wealthy. But their habit was, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm in the airport, and maybe as a student, I'm thinking like, I don't know if I want to buy this food from the airport. Maybe that one's going to be expensive. And this person will go and buy everybody that food. And I know this person does not have as much money, but it's the nobility, amazing character traits. Instead of saying, I bought this for myself, it's me, I'm sipping on my own thing. No, that's not the Muslim way. The Muslim way is to even spend of your money and buy for everybody if you can. If you cannot, offer, buy something large, share with other people. This is one of the hallmarks of the deen. Alhamdulillah, when I first became Muslim, I tell people that I felt like I didn't have to buy food for like such a long time because the brothers in university would always be offering me food. So food was something I never had a shortage of, and that really drew my heart as well towards deen. Then Imam Ghazali speaks about the proprieties or the etiquettes related to entering someone's house. Okay, he says that it is not a sunnah to go to someone's house at a mealtime, right? So that you enter upon people while they're eating. So if you know that you have an idea that at Maghrib time, after Maghrib, this family eats dinner. You should not show up at that house after Maghrib, right? You walk in, and it's like, for example, we don't have that society here. SubhanAllah, nobody even goes to each other's house. I mean, unfortunately, nobody visits other people. So we have the opposite problem. We need to start learning how to drop into each other's houses. We don't have that familiarity. But what Imam Ghazali is saying is that, when you know that a person is eating, that's not the time to drop into their house, because immediately they feel ashamed. They say, would you like to come in? And they didn't make anything for you, or you have to get them. So this is one thing that we don't do. Now, it is, however, if you are hungry and you go to your brother's house, but you're not trying to go just to get the meal, but you're hungry and you go there, you can do that. The Prophet ﷺ actually would do that too. So he says that this is something that is permissible. And the other thing is, it is permissible to go inside a house if you know that you have, without asking, if you know that you have approval from that person to do so. This is something in Islamic etiquette that we don't often remember. So just imagine this, right? Let's look at these ayahs. They're going to teach us a bit about the etiquette of eating. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تدخلوا بيوت النبي إلا أن يؤذن لكم إلى طعام غير ناظرين إناه ولكن إذا دعيتم فادخلوا فإذا طعمتم فانتشروا ولا مستأنسين لحديث إن ذلكم كان يؤذي النبي فيستحيي منكم والله لا يستحيي من الحق. And it goes on. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, O believers, do not enter the homes of the Prophet, his apartments, without permission. Obviously, you don't just walk into someone's house. And if invited for a meal, do not come too early, okay, nor linger until the meal is ready. So do not come too early lingering. But if you are invited, then enter on time. And once you have eaten, then go your way. And do not stick around for too much casual talk. مستأنسين لحديث. Such behavior is truly annoying to the Prophet ﷺ. Yet he is too shy to ask you to leave. It bothers him. But Allah is never shy of the truth. So what used to happen? So you tell somebody, come at 7 o'clock for food. They show up at 6 o'clock. Place is messy. Still vacuuming. Food isn't ready. Oh, don't worry. I'm just going to hang out. You just go ahead. I'm on my phone and you do what you want to do. You've disturbed your guest. So you don't do that. In some cultures, if they say come at 7, it's actually rude to go at 7. I mean, you have to know your culture. In some places, you don't come late. I remember once I came late to one of the Habaib's house in Tarim. He was upset. And he was very upset. And I learned a lesson because I was new. That was the first place I had ever gone overseas. And he was like, what's going on? Other places you go to, if you go on time, they're almost like, yeah, I said 7, but I meant 7:30, So it's like you have to know your own culture. Go at the time when the person is intending for you to come, right? When they want you to come. So you have to read sometimes between the lines. Sometimes they say, no, be on time, please. Be on time. Other time they say, yeah, come for 7. What they mean is drift in after the prayer or come after Isha. Doesn't mean say salams right away and run to their house because you came before the host even arrived. Sometimes. The host says after Isha prayers, we'll meet at my place. Sometimes it's like the host hasn't even come home. You're already there. The wife is like, having to lead you into the house by herself and you're just in the room by yourself. So just understand, have a little bit of an idea when the host wants you to come. The other thing is that in the ayah, when you're invited, then come and then eat. And once you've finished eating, then don't stick around for casual talk unless the host doesn't mind. So, we also sometimes make this mistake that we don't realize that the host may have somewhere to go. The host may have somewhere to go. And I've done this before, before I understood the adab of Islam on these points, where, you're sitting and you're just talking. The food has stopped. Plates have been taken away. Now the family has to go somewhere else. Don't make it to the point where they're like, oh yeah, we just need to go somewhere else now. Or they have to tell their kid in a very loud voice, go tell mama to get ready, or something like that. In Jordanian culture, what they would do is they would have what they call the qahwa ma'a salama. When they bring it out, that qahwa, when they bring out the coffee, it's called the qahwa ma'a salama. It's like the goodbye coffee. It means like, here's the tea, and here's the coffee, and it's over now. Now, so sometimes what happens is you're talking. I've seen situations where people are hanging around talking, and the host themselves has fallen asleep. I'm not even kidding. The host is like this. Everyone's still yucking it up. Come on. You're on one side, the person's spouse on the other side. They're probably thinking, when are these guys going to leave? I need to take the food back. I want to wash the dishes. So don't do this. This is something that is annoying to other people. And once you eat, out of modesty, what you should say, right? Now, this doesn't mean that in every single situation it's going to be like that. But what it means, once you eat, you say, thank you very much, jazakallah khair. Okay, inshallah, we'll get going. And then the person say, oh, just stay, come on, no, relax. We have still, don't worry about it. That's different. Once your host kicks up his feet or her feet and says, Bismillah, we've got the whole evening ahead of us. Okay, then you relax too. Take off your kufi, just relax. Okay. But once there's that level of formality that's there, and they have not done that, then you also respond. And the other thing is that, subhanAllah, listen to this interesting story that I'll read verbatim. Imam Ghazali mentions the story of Muhammad ibn Wasi'a and his friends. They used to go to Al-Hasan's house, and they used to eat whatever they used to find. This group of people used to go inside the house and eat whatever they found. And upon Al-Hasan al-Basri rahmatullahi would come home, and he used to be so happy, and he would say, this is the way we used to be. Right? Now, what does this mean? In Islamic etiquette, you should always ask for salams before you enter someone's house. However, if you know that they don't mind you coming in, you can come in anytime, even if they're not home. So let's read the ayah of the ayah of eating. Right? Okay, I'll tell you this story quickly first. So basically, it is Al-Hasan al-Basri was standing and eating from the goods of a grocer in the market. So he went to a grocery, and he started eating the grapes and whatever. And so somebody came to him and said, is this what you consider piety? You're eating from the grocer's food. You haven't even bought it yet, and you're eating. So Al-Hasan replied to him, "Oh, you fool, recite to me the verses of eating. Recite the verses of eating." So then the person said, "Okay, I'll recite the verses of eating." And they are as such. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ليس على الأعمى حرج ولا على الأعرج حرج ولا على المريض حرج ولا أنفسكم أن تأكلوا من بيوتكم أو بيوت آبائكم أو بيوت أمهاتكم أو بيوت إخوانكم أو بيوت أخواتكم أو بيوت أعمامكم أو بيوت أماتكم أو بيوت أخوالكم أو بيوت خالاتكم أو ما ملكتم مفاتحه أو صديقكم ليس عليكم جناح أن تأكلوا جميعا أو أشتاتا فإذا دخلتم بيوتا فسلموا على أنفسكم تحية من عند الله مباركة طيبة كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تعقلون. Allah says, there is no restriction on the blind or the disabled or the sick, nor on yourselves if you eat from your house, or if you go in to eat in the house of your father, meaning when they're not home, you go in and you just eat from your dad's house, your parents' house, or the house of your mothers, or the house of your brothers, or the house of your sisters, or the house of your paternal uncles, or the house of your paternal aunts, or the house of your maternal uncles, or your maternal aunts, or from the homes in your trust, meaning this person gives you the key and they say, here, go in any time and eat anything you want, or the homes of your friends. There is no blame on you for eating together or eating separately. You can eat in one plate, you can eat in separate plates. However, when you enter houses, greet one another with the greeting of peace from Allah, blessed and good. This is how Allah makes His revelation clear to you, so perhaps you will understand. So here there's an etiquette of eating. And then so Imam Hassan al-Basri said to him, then Hassan al-Basri said, "Oh Abu so-and-so, who is the friend, Sadiqikum, that the ayah is referring to?" Right? And then the man replied, he said, it is one with whom the soul finds rest and the heart finds tranquility. What does that mean? If you know your cousins are okay with you going inside their house, like your aunt, you can just go right in, go into their fridge and eat. If your friend, you have a really close friend, you can do that. However, before you enter the house, you say salams. Next thing, the person doesn't have hijab inside their house. They're alone. The spouse is not home. It's going to be khalwa. You don't do that. But the point is that there was that level of ease and relaxation with family. Just come in, bismillah, have food, no problem. The sign that you're really comfortable with someone is when you can walk inside their house, open the cupboard and start taking things out and eating. However, you don't do that unless you're positive that person likes you, wants to do that. It's actually not, it's very rude if you don't know that person well or they don't like it, for you to go in and start tinkering with things and making things yourself. Sometimes people do it. Hey, where is it? I'm just going to get some coffee and tea. And the person's like, no, I'll get it. If they say go ahead, that's fine. So now there are other things that Imam Ghazali mentions, which is the propriety of hosting someone and offering food. And there are 4 that he mentions, and we'll list them. Number 1 is avoid formality, called takalluf, and offer whatever is available. Number 2, the visitor should not make requests or insist. Number 3, the host should ask for food preferences if possible. And number 4, the host should not ask, do you want something to eat? They should just serve. That last one is one for our culture and our societies. So what is this about? So first of all, Imam Ghazali mentions that a person should not have takalluf, meaning, now watch. So you invite someone to your house. You should not now have to, break the bank in order for the person, in order for you to feel that you hosted them well. Unfortunately, in our societies, sometimes people would even not have money, so they would have to borrow money for this purpose. Go out and take a loan because I have to buy this amazing food because this person is rich and they're coming to my house and I don't have anything to feed them that's at their level. They won't eat lentils and rice like I eat. So I have to go and slaughter a sheep for them and I'm going to go borrow money. This is wrong. Imam Ghazali is saying this is not what you do. And the other thing that we do, which is wrong, is in many of our cultures and societies, astaghfirullah, we invited somebody, and I'm speaking from a male perspective, we invited somebody. So now our wives are in front of the stove and the oven for 2 days. And they didn't eat properly, the kids are neglected, everyone's neglected. It's different if you're doing it completely out of the love of doing it. Oh, I love to cook like this, no problem. But the actual etiquette is to avoid formality to an excessive extent, to the point where it starts breaking your bank or making hardship on people. Why? Because a scholar, one of the early scholars, gave a definition of formality when it comes to food. It is feeding your brother, right? Formality is feeding your brother or sister what you usually do not eat. Instead, try to offer him something better you try to offer something better in quality or value. This is a pretty high thing because right now the standards of Muslim hosting are that you give people food better than what you're used to eating. In Imam Ghazali's time, they're saying, no, don't do takalluf. And why? He says, Fudail ibn Iyad said something very interesting. People have stopped visiting one another owing to formality. They have stopped visiting one another because of formality. A person used to invite his brother and offer more than usual, causing him to stop going back again. SubhanAllah, look at this. In the early Muslims, they used to feel embarrassed that this person is going to formality, so they would stop visiting him. Now it's opposite. You say, oh man, the wife is so tired because you made her cook. She doesn't want to do it again for like months. So instead of this thing where like every week, every week or two, multiple times a week, people are dropping in. Now you don't want to invite anybody because it's like a burden on the family, And so now you only do it once in a while. We're going to do it, but we're going to do it very good. No, bring down the level of food, but just have people coming in and out. It's better. It's better. It's better to order a pizza, okay, and have people coming in all the time and be informal than it is to, have the oven going and, all day and never inviting guests after the 2 Eids, And subhanAllah, may Allah make things open up again fully in society, wherever you are, and make it safe and make it pleasant for everyone to gather again in the houses, to be able to host each other and enjoy each other's company. And so subhanAllah. So we have to make sure that we don't do this, right? The other thing is that subhanAllah, The other thing that he considers as a formality, listen to this, offering all your food to your guests and leaving none for your family. And our cultures are also guilty of this. Many times, and let's say it happens, husband and wife didn't see each other for the whole evening. You come into the room, and the wife is like eating like something without any curry, without anything else that anyone else enjoyed. And this is wrong. That the person who cooked the food doesn't get any food? No. Yes, as a host, you prefer others over yourself, but you don't do this thing where you deprive your family because of the formality of feeding everybody else. Either you make food for everybody else, or there's a difference like with children, right? Because sometimes they will take extra more than they have to, but don't make your family feel that they don't like other people coming over. The second thing is that a visitor, it's not up to the guest to start choosing what type of food to eat. This is like an obvious thing, but they should not insist on it. Hey, make me that really like nice biryani that you make for so-and-so. You don't do that. Because immediately you're putting them on the spot, right? If a guest is given two types of food, in fact, they should not actually pick the one they like better, right away. They should try to say, make the easier one. Hey, would you like lentils or do you want me to fire up a steak for you? So yeah, steak would be great. No. Whatever is easy. If it's lentils, no problem. Bismillah, let's do it. And let the other person say, no, try this. Try it. So, if you feel that the person is okay, if they're going to be happy about it, then that's okay. You go to your aunt's house. What do you want to eat? No, tell me what. And they're happy when you say, that thing you always make when I was a kid? Because we just read a hadith last week in which, subhanAllah, 3 of the Ahlul Bayt, Al-Hassan, Imam Al-Hassan, Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Ja'far, Allahu Akbar, the 3 Ahlul Bayt stars, went to the house of Salma, the wife of Abu Rafi, who was the freed slave of the Prophet ﷺ, who used to cook for the Prophet ﷺ. And they said, Ya Fulana, make us this. we want you to make this for us. And she said, oh, you're not gonna, they said, make us the dish that the Rasul ﷺ used to like and that used to be like a treat for him. And she said, you guys will not like that nowadays anymore. Meaning society has changed, wealth has come. If you know what the good dish was when he was there, what I used to make for him, you guys will not like that food to eat anymore. He said, no, please do it. Allahu Akbar. So this is different. They're coming with love. They're saying, remind us of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a very big different story, right? And the third thing is, the host should inquire, and then this also goes with like when somebody offers you something to drink, what would you like in your tea? And you say, can I have coffee instead? Now that person has to go and feel embarrassed, and like you whisper to somebody, say, whisper to the kid. And in Jordan, this used to happen, go to the corner store, go to the thing and buy it quickly before you come back. They want coffee. They don't drink tea. This is formality. So whatever you have in your house, you make it. That's the best way. The next thing is that a host should inquire about the type of food the guest would like. So it's on the opposite side. You should say, would you like, do you prefer tea or do you prefer coffee? Right? If you have both. Right? So for example, when I go to your house, I'm going to have coffee, please, right? Because our brother sells coffee. So this is the thing, like the host should ask if there's a choice. And as long as you have that choice, you should definitely offer different choices, because there's actually a reward in having people choose something that they like. The fourth thing and the final thing is a person should not say to their guest, can I offer you something to eat? Can I get you something to drink? And this is it's like culturally such a classic line. In fact, it's strange because our societies have gone kind of like inverted. Now the hospitable thing is say, hey, can I get you something to drink? Can I get you a cup of coffee? That would be a big aib, a big shameful thing in Muslim society. Rather, you should not ask. The person should just be sitting down and they hear ding, 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 ding from the kitchen and what's going on, and then something comes in. That's better, Now, you might say, well, why should I go fire something up? And the person said, oh, I don't want it. There are tricks, for example. Like, you don't ask the person if they want something because they'll say no. if they're modest, which Muslims, it assumes Muslims are modest. They say, no, thanks. What you say, for example, Imam Ghazali doesn't say this, but I'm saying this. You want to make sure, is the person fasting or not? Are they eating or not? You just say, you take one sugar or two? And the person will go, oh, okay, fine, I'll take two or one or none, whatever. So you immediately have introduced this idea that I'm about to bring something out for you, but you said it in such a way that you have already offered it. It's there. What they used to have as well, the Arabs have this and many other cultures have, they have these kind of like snack foods available all the time. So when a guest comes, it's just like you just put it down for them right away so that they can start snacking on something. When they start snacking on something, then the appetite opens, right? So subhanAllah. So Imam Sufyan al-Thawri said, were your brother to visit you, do not ask, what do you want to eat? Or do you want to eat? Or shall I offer you something? But simply offer what is available. And if he eats it, fine. If not, then lift it up. Then just take it away. Don't make them feel ashamed. So this is a section that Imam Ghazali has brought, speaking about the etiquettes of offering others food and sharing food with each other. So inshallah, next week we'll continue the topic of food and close that section on the adab of eating. If there are any questions or anything you want to say, please feel free, inshallah.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit seekersguidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit seekersguidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.